All right, guys. So here we are at our opening exercise, which is the main part of our lesson. Of course, we should already have our CFS down. Our do now should be finished, and we should have our open exercise notes here. Now, if you don't want to set your notes up like mine here at the bottom right screen of the computer screen, if you can see me, if you don't want to set your notes like mine and actually have the table, what you could do, you could literally just write down what is the percent, what is the part, what is the whole. However, since I already have this on my screen, I'm just going to use it. I'm just going to use it as a reference, but we're going to basically be on my dot cam. All right, so everybody keeps hearing part equals percent of a whole. So one thing that you need to know about percentages, and the reason why we sat here yesterday and figured out what is the difference between a percent and how we convert it to a fraction and how we convert it to a decimal, is because we are now working on new equations. And your new equation is part is the percent of the whole. So part is percent of the whole, simply meaning that some part of a number is a percentage of a whole. That's just like me saying that if I have five five pennies, right? 5 pennies is literally 5% of a whole dollar. Because literally, if I have 5 pennies, that is literally 5 pennies out of 100. So that would literally be 5% of a whole dollar. So let's take, for instance, these different scenarios, because today we're going to go ahead and start with our first CFS, which is to identify part, percent, and whole in a real word problem. So let's go ahead and start with that exercise. So here we have the first situation that says 15 is what percent of 90. Now, even though we know part is percent of the whole, we need to break this down a little bit more so that way we can see it as an equation. So part, if it is, that means that it's equal to. So part is or equal to a percentage. Of course, we know that of means to multiply, so we're going to multiply of some type of whole number. So part equals percent of a whole. So here we're just going to identify what is that. So this first one says 15 is what percent of 90. So 15, of course, is going to be our part. If it's of, I know 90 is going to be my whole, but I'm not sure what percentage will be there. So what would we have to do? We probably basically plug in a decimal for our percentage, but we don't know what percentage, but we know what our whole and our part is. All right, let's try number 2. So it says what number is. Okay, we know the equal sign is, but we don't know what number. So something is 10% of course means to multiply, and 56 is going to be our whole because that is the whole number that we're having. So we're still trying to figure out what is this number. Number 3, it says that 20 girls in the class represented 55% of students in class. So I need to know how many students are in total. So if I'm trying to figure out how many students are in total, of course, total is our whole, so we don't know what our whole is, but we know that the girls in the class equals 55%. And when you think about what is 55% of the classroom, 55% is the 20 girls. So part equals percent of a whole. Last question, what we're going to identify. So if I have 40% of students who love the museum, if 20 students are on the field trip, that's 20 students in total. I know that 20 is my whole and my part. I don't know it, so we're going to have to find it. Go ahead and stay tuned to know how to solve these equations